Hello, this is Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer.
Welcome home. Soar into tower. We are ready for takeoff.
Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Hey, it's Amy from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey Clubbers, it's Scott from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey, it's Kathleen from DVC Clubhouse.
Welcome aboard. It's Phil from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Debrief Podcast brought to you by DVC Clubhouse. This is Amy, and the gang is all here today. We've got all four of us here today. I'm joined by Kathleen from Alaska and Scott and Phil. Hey, guys.
Hey, guys.
Hi guys.
Welcome aboard, everybody. It is nice to see your
Yes.
smiling faces again.
Yes, definitely nice to see you guys.
For sure.
We miss you. Well, we miss Kathleen. Scott, it's okay to see you, I guess, buddy.
Yeah, thanks.
Just looking out for you, pal.
Appreciate you.
Everybody.
Well, we know what we'll be trimming first out of the episode.
Oh, wow.
Scott, it's been a while since I saw those guns there with the sleeveless shirt.
85 degrees out. Can't beat it today.
Yeah, not that here. Kathleen, I think you came in with the low, though. What'd you say, 30-something feels like 20-something?
32 feels like 22. Yep. 40 days till I'm back in Florida.
Yeah, but who's counting, right?
I've been counting.
So, Phil, you posted something on the Facebook group the other day. And for those of you who are listening who don't belong to the Facebook group, go over to DVC Clubhouse and you can join in on this conversation. But Phil posted something the other day asking for unpopular opinions. And somebody commented that, they were surprised at how much engagement the post got. And I said, yeah, well, Scott posted 50% of the comments. Scott had a lot to say.
That's entirely true.
I wasn't just rage baiting, I was Scott baiting. I knew that if I got that post started, we could drag Scott back over here for an episode. And let's be honest, I had been way too well behaved for way too long. I've been a very good boy and it needed to come out.
And I text you and I said, Phil opens the door and I come in and it was a picture of Miley Cyrus on a wrecking ball.
It was like the Kool-Aid man blowing through the wall. Here he comes.
That was a good post. A lot of engagement. I'm looking at that.
A lot of engagement.
210 comments?
210 comments.
Wow.
So what I figured was I think we've probably got enough here to cover a couple of episodes. So what I was thinking was I'm just going to go through the comments here, lay them out for everyone, and we can discuss them. And there's actually a couple that I think were popular opinions, not unpopular opinions, but I'm curious to hear what everyone has to say here. Because there were some strong statements were made.
Oh, there was definitely some strong statements, yes.
All right, you guys want to jump into it? I'm just going to get on the list.
Go for it.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so I'll start off the same way I started the post. The beaches on Seven Seas Lagoon should be limited to guests staying at those resorts year-round, not just on nights of special events.
Like, what do you mean when you say that? Like,
So
you can't...
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm confused.
So on New Year's Eve, on 4th of July, if you want to go down to the beaches to watch the fireworks, you need to have a wristband that says you are staying at that resort to access the beach for the nighttime spectaculars. And if you're staying at those resorts, you either need to watch it from behind the crowd, watch it from your room, or if you're lucky, get into the pool area. Even that's being overridden by non-resort guests. If you're staying there, you almost cannot access the beach unless you're there an hour early to watch the fireworks from your resort.
Yeah, that's correct. So you're saying that you want that all the time?
100%. Yep. And if I'm not staying there, I don't get to go watch the fireworks from that beach that night. That's all.
Okay, so I took that wrong then. I thought you meant if you're not staying there, you can't even go on the beach. Like you can't
Nope,
like mingle.
just for the special events, just for the
Okay.
fireworks and things of that nature.
Okay. I mean, I guess I agree with that. Yeah.
I feel like if I get if you're staying there, why you feel that way, and I don't fully disagree with you, but I do think that if you have a dinner reservation, similar to like if you have a dinner reservation at California Grill earlier in the night, if you have a receipt, you can go back up to watch the fireworks. I think that if you have a dinner reservation at Ohana or at Kona Cafe and you're there during fireworks, I think that you should be allowed to go down to the beach and watch the fireworks also.
I think that gets you on property.
But then you're saying that you can't ever watch the fireworks really from the Polynesian unless you're staying there.
No, I'm saying you can't watch the fireworks from the beach unless you're paying to stay there.
Right, but there aren't many good viewing areas. So like then do you then extend that to if you're staying at the Island Tower, you can't go over and sit on that path or that little kind of lawn outside of the Island Tower? Or does that extend to the Grand Floridian where you can't stand by Narcoossee's or the marina area and ever
None
watch
of
the
those are the
fireworks? Can you
beaches.
not? Yeah, but I mean, I think that it's a public area. It's a public space. So I think it becomes kind of, especially if you're a DVC member, I feel like if you're a DVC member and you're not staying there, there's just something that feels like it's nice. Like some DVC members don't even ever go into the park. So it's nice to be able to like one night be like, I'm going to have dinner over at Polynesian and then watch the fireworks or, Grand Floridian. And I think that it becomes like a little bit of a gray area for me. So like I totally get it because I think if you're a guest at the Polynesian and you can't get a space to watch the fireworks, that's annoying. But I also think that as a DVC member who doesn't go into the parks that frequently, if I had dinner at like Ohana, I would be annoyed if then they told me I couldn't go and because where else would I go to watch the fireworks from Polynesian then at that point?
You can go down to the walking paths. You just can't go on the beach. I was limiting it to the beach. And I think what we're speaking to comes up later on, too, with other people's complaints about Polynesian. I think it's the onslaught of people at the Seven Seas resorts that actually tend to drive down their popularity for some people wanting to stay there.
Like me.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few people that said that, and I don't disagree with it. All right, shall we move on? Does anyone else have anything else? To Scott, you were strangely silent about that.
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on that. I've experienced it both ways before, so I can agree and disagree with that, but I'm fine.
Okay, Gina chimed in. We're still staying at Seven Seas resorts here. There is zero Disney vibe at BLT other than MK views. Never been so depressed staying on property as I was in that monochrome institution. Then you haven't visited the right value resorts. That's all I'm saying, Gina. What do you guys think?
1 bedroom. I think just what they've done. She said Bay Lake. Just so I'm clear, we're talking Bay Lake. Oh yeah,
Correct, Bay Lake.
Since they've done the refurb, I totally disagree with that. It's got Disney everywhere, and people are tired of hearing me say it, but Mary Blair inspired artwork is everywhere in those rooms, and what they did was fantastic. And Mary Blair to me is just old school Disney. I mean, you can't say Mary Blair without thinking of Disney. They did a fantastic job with that refurb. Before, I would have agreed with that, but now with the refurb, sorry.
I stayed there pre-refurb, and I'll be curious to see how I feel going back for the next trip because we'll be at Bay Lake Tower. But staying there pre-refurb, I totally understand where she's coming from. It was remarkably bland.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that way. I mean, I put Bay Lake Tower was either 10 or 11 for me on my list of the resorts until the refurb, and it moved up a lot because I think they did a great job of, and like Scott said, infusing the Mary Blair artwork, giving it kind of like a retro feel, like a Disney throwback. And you're right next to, not only can you see Cinderella's castle, which is clear, and Space Mountain and Tomorrowland, but you can see the contemporary, which is so quintessentially Disney. I mean, you can't think about Disney World. Disney World used to, when it opened, it was Magic Kingdom Contemporary and the Polynesian. And so I can understand not liking the decor, but to say that it has no Disney vibes, I can't get on board with that statement.
I mean, your worst view there is what, a parking lot view, which then looks out to Magic Kingdom?
Right. As I always say, the difference between parking lot view and theme park view is one floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true. Yeah, I like Bay Lake Tower. I liked it even before the refurb. It wasn't my favorite, but now that they redid all those rooms, it's definitely moved up my list.
I adamantly disliked it before the refurb, but I am cautiously optimistic for the next trip. The funny thing is that Karen chimed in and said she had a split stay between Art of Animation and BLT once, and when she checked into BLT, she wanted to go back to Art of Animation. I can only assume she
Wow.
was really drunk when she made that statement.
Well, I mean, you're talking about Disney theming, and Art of Animation is over the top with the decor and everything. But I mean, I could see where she's coming from, but still, I just don't agree that it has zero Disney vibe now with the refurb.
I also think that there's like two different camps of people, like when they describe Disney vibes. There are people who, when they think Disney vibes, they think Art of Animation. They want larger than life Disney animated IP, like all over the place in your face. That's not I'm not in that camp. The camp that I'm in is more like Beach Club, Boardwalk, Yacht Club, where to me, the Disney vibe is the recreation, the detailed recreation and immersion um, that transports you from being in Central Florida to feeling like you've arrived at, like Wilderness Lodge, like you've been transported to the Pacific Northwest. When you're at Boardwalk, you're you're transported to a bygone era at like the Jersey Shore, like that for me, that's Disney vibes. And Disney vibes is also the nostalgia, so things like, Mary Blair is, to me, she's a whole Disney vibe. She's not just like a little bit of a Disney vibe. She's like a whole Disney vibe. So I'm not the Art of Animation Disney vibe person. I am like the Mary Blair artwork or the, the expertly imagineered recreations like Wilderness Lodge or Animal Kingdom Lodge.
I feel like the people who really want that Art of Animation look and feel are the same people who buy up all the neon bubbly letter merchandise that we always complain about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next, Mr. Huff chimed in with his first banger, which is that Riviera is basically just Caribbean Beach Tower.
Well,
I jumped in and said, I wish Facebook had an infinity thumbs up button because we all know where I stand on this one. It is, in fact, just Caribbean Beach Tower. I mean, it's where the check-in was for Caribbean Beach. They share an address. So you've got a fancier restaurant next.
I just don't think that they have the overwhelmingly nice lobby when you walk in. It doesn't remind me of like a resort that we're used to, such as like a Wilderness Lodge, a Grand Floridian. You think of the Animal Kingdom, you walk in and you're amazed. Riviera has a lot of nice points to it, but one of them is not walking into that lobby and you're very underwhelmed. And we've talked about it before. I think a lot of people like the quick service there, but a lot of people walk over to Caribbean Beach to get something to eat, whether it be Beaches and Cream, whether it be Sebastian's.
And then crow about it that one of the best features about staying at Riviera is the moderate next door for food. Like, I'm not sure how that is a benefit.
So that was why I basically called it what I called it, CBT.
Oh, yeah, you called it out. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Everyone has everyone likes what they like, and that's fine. It's just when I'm there, I'm bored. Like, it's
funny you
nice.
say that.
It's
I had
pretty.
a conversation with someone the other day where they said that there's no such thing as a wrong opinion because it's an opinion. And I said, I completely disagree with that. You have a right to your own opinion. Everybody has a right to their opinion, but there is such a thing as a wrong opinion. And I'll die on that hill.
I mean, I don't care for the pools there. I'm a pool person. I don't really like them.
Yeah, I would argue what you just said. I would rather walk over to Caribbean Beach and go to that pool than I would Riviera's pool.
I don't care for their quick service. I know tons of people love it. I've had a couple bad experiences there, so maybe that's why I don't like it. The rooms are beautiful. They're nice. But other than that,
They are at
I'm
the
just
Poly
bored.
Tower too.
Well, and I think, I mean, to the point of Scott's statement, it being Caribbean Beach Tower, and Phil said it, the building is on the footprint of existing of buildings that were a part of Caribbean Beach that existed that were demolished to build Riviera. An entire section of Caribbean Beach was demolished, not just the check-in building, but there were other buildings there demolished so that Riviera could be built. And so it's literally on it's on the Caribbean Beach property. So yeah, I mean, regardless of whether or not you like it, it is a tower that was built at Caribbean Beach. I mean, if somebody were to take an entire section of Riverside, demolish it, and then put up a tower there, people and try to change the theming and say it wasn't a part of Riverside, like people would vastly disagree. And I mean, honestly, we're seeing it with Lakeshore Lodge. People are feeling like Lakeshore Lodge is basically a tower at Fort Wilderness. People are not seeing Lakeshore
It
Lodge
is.
as something that's separate from Fort Wilderness. They're seeing it as a hotel tower that is being built at Fort Wilderness. So Riviera is no different than that.
I would argue that the Fort Wilderness Tower is literally on top of an existing Fort Wilderness building. It's the same thing that you basically took up the footprint, for goodness sake. So I completely agree with that. Like, you built it on the property. Call it what you want, call it a new name, charge your points, but it is in fact Caribbean Beach.
Listen, if 6 years ago they would have included moderate resorts in DVC and they would have built that and they would have called it Caribbean Beach Tower rather than Riviera, it would not have had any trouble selling points like Riviera did.
Well, but then they would have had to make the points more reasonable. We know they went in the opposite direction for Riviera. All right, I feel like the next one, someone was coming hard at Amy here. Mark said beach clubs overrated, Amy.
Joey, wasn't that the first comment?
I think it was.
It was one of the earlier comments, and I did not argue with him. I didn't feel the need to defend Beach Club because I think Beach Club speaks for itself. And look, and I understand why people might feel that way, especially, we've talked about this in the past, people who have small kids, that's a challenging pool complex. The water slide is challenging. Like, I get the challenges that Beach Club has. It doesn't have like a traditional quick service. It's more of like a counter inside the merchandise shop that you need to take it to go and then find some place to sit in this, the solarium or they have tables outside on the walkway heading over to the Villas building. But I obviously can't get on board with that statement. I mean, I think, you cannot get closer to Epcot than staying at Beach Club. And for me, that just shoots its value way up high because proximity to International Gateway is, for me, one of the top reasons that I would ever choose to stay at a resort. Crescent Lake has my heart because of its proximity to International Gateway. I love that area anyway. Like, imagine that it wasn't at International Gateway's entrance and it was just kind of set, like tucked away, like where like Saratoga Springs is. I would still love it because I think they did such a great job with those resorts and having them situated around Crescent Lake. It just gives it a very neighborhood kind of distinct feel. But it's positioned directly in between two parks. You've got International Gateway, footsteps away. You have a boat or a Skyliner or you can walk to Hollywood Studios. Regardless of, whether it's challenging with kids, the pool complex it feels like a resort pool. I've said that before. This isn't just some pool that they put up. This is like, it feels like you're at a resort. Like the Beach Club Yacht Club complex feels like a proper resort with great amenities. And the fact that it shares the property with Yacht Club and it's like a sister resort, you've got very quick access to their dining options. So to me, it's like it's the best of all worlds there. You have close proximity to theme parks, but you also have close proximity to all of the dining that is situated around Crescent Lake. Plus, it like Beach Club and Yacht Club to me are arguably like some of the most beautifully appointed resorts. Like I just think they did a gorgeous job of creating those resorts. And just from from an architecture standpoint and from a like an interior design standpoint, I think that they're just beautiful resorts. So I I think that having Beaches and Cream is such like a nice little kind of fun restaurant. I think that Cape May Cafe has probably for the price, like one of my favorite character breakfasts because characters are cute, price is good, breakfast is solid. I think it has a lot going for it. And I think that something that Beach Club suffers from, which it shares in common with Boardwalk and Boulder Ridge, is that a lot of newer DVC owners don't like the layout of those rooms because they feel like they're too small compared to rooms like at Grand Floridian or Riviera or even, Polynesian. But that was just like the original layout of the studios. So for me, it is what it is. I'm used to that. I don't spend all that much time in a studio to really be bothered by the size of it. So I understand why people might not have it as their favorite, but I don't think that it's overrated. I think that it has a ton going for it.
Well, she definitely took that one personally. That was an 11-minute response.
Yeah, I don't agree that it's overrated. I don't, not at all. I think there's only one thing I don't like about Beach Club, and that is their balconies. That's it.
You took mine. That's what I was going to say. I think the only thing is the view. I don't think there's a good view there. I think every view that I've ever had is looking at a bush or a tree.
Well, no, we've had those like really big balconies before.
Oh, they do have. I think there's
Yeah.
one time that I've been there, but for the most part, you're pretty much guaranteed to be looking at a tree. I don't think there's anything like a theme park view or like Boardwalk has like a boardwalk view. There's really nothing like that that's special, but I like Beach Club. I don't know that it's overrated. I think you're not going to find a pool like Stormalong Bay at any other resort. I mean, you can complain about it all you want with all the people that are there, but you're not going to find a pool like that anywhere other than maybe the new Lakeshore Lodge that's coming up. So overrated, I wouldn't say that. I think like Amy said, Beaches and Cream is like a unique option. I think Cape May is always solid. I think we go to Cape May probably just as much as any restaurant on property. And like Amy said,
And I think they have one of the best pool bars, Hurricane Hannah's.
Yeah, they do. So I don't necessarily want to say that it's overrated, but I think if you're going to talk about the rooms, maybe. I think you could get a lot better options with the rooms and the views.
I don't think Beach Club is overrated. I think that it suffers from a couple of things, and Amy mentioned them. I'll talk about Beaches and Cream. My kids absolutely specifically asked for a reservation at Beaches and Cream on our next trip, and I begrudgingly gave it to them because I think the ice cream is solid, but the food absolutely sucks. I think it's terrible food. It makes diner food look good by comparison. I think that I'm okay with Cape May. I think that Cape May, kind of like some of the others, Ohana and Kona being among them, used to be a much better restaurant than it is. I love Yacht Club, and I've made no secret of that. And we've stayed at Beach Club, and I didn't love Beach Club as much. I didn't love the vibe. But the bottom line is it's an amazing location. It has an amazing pool complex. There are restaurants everywhere in that complex that are worth going to, aside from the ones I mentioned. And the points charts. How can you say that that resort is overrated based on the points charts? The biggest problem it has is that it doesn't have a lot of room, so it's difficult to book. Past that, I can't find a whole lot of detractions for that resort.
One thing about the views, and I'll agree, there is no premium view, but you also don't really get a room, with the exception of a few that you're looking right at a parking lot, or you're looking like overlooking like the laundry staging area. I would rather be looking at a tree than at like some of the views that I've had at Boulder Ridge, Bay Lake, even Polynesian. I mean, there are Polynesian rooms that are standard view um that have like a view of kind of the parking lot over there on the side. Um, what building is that? I can't think of the name of the building right now, but so I think that it is, and Boardwalk has, a view like there's standard views, which I mean, for the point value, it doesn't really matter what the view is because you're paying nothing. But it there are rooms that are looking out to like to the front of the resort, which I think is kind of cool, but others might think that, you can see the road, you can see the parking lot. Beach club is kind of like insulated. So yes, while you might be surrounded by trees in the pool, you don't really have any rooms that are looking at like a parking lot or a dumpster, or I mean there might be a couple that are like tucked away that are the rare ones, but for the most part, you're surrounded by like nature or walkways.
I think it's the lack of the option is what I was talking about. You're right. I mean, you're looking
Yeah.
at nature rather than a dumpster. But I think it's, not having the option of picking a theme park view, a lake view, like Bay Lake Tower. We always talk about that lake view. To me, is better than a theme park view. But I think that might be one thing that would kind of knock it down for me just a little bit.
Yeah.
Emily came in and said she's eaten at Coral Reef 4 or 5 times and always had a great meal. That is an unpopular opinion.
Yeah, we've never ate there. So, I never ate there. I think Scott has.
I
Many
have
years
never
ago.
eaten there.
I have eaten there. It's been a while, so it would be tough for me to say. My biggest problem with it, I thought that the food was mid. The kids had a blast looking at the tank. But my biggest issue was everything on that menu made you feel like you needed someone to carry you in a wheelbarrow out the door. It was just all heavy. It was all huge plates. It was all sauces. And you'd walk outside afterwards and you're like, I am buried in Epcot here. Like, I don't even want to walk back past everything to get out of here. I feel so full and so gross.
I mean,
No,
in
when I,
fairness, Emily is gluten free. She has
uh,
celiac, so maybe the gluten free options there are solid, and so maybe that would be, maybe that's a popular opinion amongst people who have to eat off the gluten free menu. But
when
I
I,
have not heard anybody rave about that restaurant.
No,
So
that's not one that
no,
usually hits the top lists.
yeah, no.
I was there a long time ago, and the food was, it was like if you ordered a steak, they went to Golden Corral and got a steak off of the buffet at Golden Corral and brought it to you. It was like buffet quality. I mean, it's just, if you're going to be mid like that, you're already smack dab in a park that's full of wonderful food options, especially if there's a festival going on. So you got to kind of up your game just a little bit. And that one's just not worth a special trip to for a meal.
But it was like jazz hands, but you can see the fish. Would you like a table by the fish? You can see the fish.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a couple more and then maybe call a break. So Brian said Boardwalk is not the end-all be-all of DVC. In fact, it has the least to offer currently. Scott, you've had some similar things to say about Boardwalk recently as well.
I just think that it's a combination of things closing and also things that are opening. That, the things that they've opened, and I'm specifically talking about Cake Bake. I think it's popular, but I just don't think that it makes sense at Boardwalk. And then I think they have all of this empty real estate over there. You think of Boardwalk, you think of nightlife, you think of it being alive. Just so many people there, so many things to do, entertainment. You have still Abracadabra, but now you have no restaurant there anymore as far as Big River. You have no Jelly Rolls there, which was a huge attraction for people. There's a lot there that you could potentially have, and I do agree with that. I just don't think there's as much there to do now as what there used to be. And until they change that, there's not much of a reason entertainment-wise to be at Boardwalk. However, there's other reasons. We talked about Boardwalk, being so close to the parks. Crescent Lake is beautiful. I love that area. There's a lot of other things that are good about Boardwalk that make me want to stay there, but it's slowly starting to lose some of those things that made me love it from the beginning, to the point where we don't own a contract there anymore.
Like Beach Club, I just simply come back to point charts and location. You're just not going to beat those points charts and location. It could be a barren wasteland, and it would still be an amazing location with amazing point charts, and that's tough to beat.
Well, and Phil and I did an episode a couple of weeks ago about, when nostalgia kind of overrides logic, because, and that we did that episode shortly after I had my trip with Allie for her birthday, and we stayed at Boardwalk. And as somebody who has been critical of the choices they've made at Boardwalk, and I'm sad about the loss of some of the things at Boardwalk, I can't get behind that statement, because we had an absolutely spectacular time. Now, yes, we did stay club level on the inside, but we're not just talking about DDC here. We're talking about Boardwalk in general. And I can't get behind the statement that the Boardwalk doesn't really have anything to offer, because Allie and I had an amazing time. Bellevue is still one of my favorite hotel lobby lounges on property. Abracadabra is so unique and fun, and we had a great time there. Cake Bake, although it doesn't make sense there, that has become a place that I have really enjoyed going and sitting at the bar and getting a bite to eat there and having a drink. Their cocktails are incredible. Their wine is meh, but their cocktails are incredible. You still have the nighttime, like, family fun entertainment on the Boardwalk. They still have the movies on the green. They had activities for the kids on the green. It actually felt very lively when we were there, despite Big River Grill and Jelly Rolls spaces being vacant. It felt like there was a lot of energy, a lot of action. Flying Fish is solid. Trattoria, however we pronounce it, is a family favorite. Always crowded. Always.
Everyone needs to stop talking about Trattoria, because it's one of the best kept secrets on property, and I don't want to get to a point where I can't get a reservation there. So it's like the third podcast this week I've heard rave about Trattoria. Everybody just stop, please. I don't want everyone knowing about that.
It's good. It's on my list when I return home.
Like first on the list.
I do. Like, I think that the Boardwalk's pool, their pool food options kind of stink, but the pool bar in terms of drinks is fine. It's a fun pool. Like, yeah, that's also a statement I can't get behind. But again, I also feel like there are two camps in DVC, and I feel like there are people who just don't appreciate the older resorts, like the Boulder Ridge, the Boardwalk, the Beach Club. I can't help but appreciate them, because they were the only ones that existed when I was there. And Phil keeps bringing up the points charts. You cannot do better than staying at Boardwalk in a standard view studio for 9 points on a
9 points
weeknight
a night
in
off season. It's
September.
silly cheap.
I mean, yeah, like, are you kidding me? Like, yeah, you don't think it has much to offer? How about for 9 points? It has a ton to offer.
I did a straight up trade with friends years ago, and it was, I think, 100 points for 100 points. They took my Poly points and booked at Poly. I took their Boardwalk points, and they booked me with the 11-month window at Boardwalk. They got to stay at Poly for 4 nights, and I got to stay at Boardwalk for like 9. It was 100 points straight up. It's not even close. Okay, so my wife chiming in, pointing out just one of the reasons that I married her: monorail resort loop for resort loop guests only. Oh, she knows me, doesn't she?
Well, love you, Emily, but I do not agree.
I know why she said it, and we had this conversation the last time. When you are staying at a monorail resort, and especially Grand Floridian, where you cannot get to Epcot unless you take the monorail around the TTC, and that monorail shows up full of people that boarded at the TTC to get into Magic Kingdom, and you have to wait for multiple monorails to go by, it is infuriating.
Yeah, I get that. But, talking as a local, we often park at TTC, and there might be times that we just go up in the evening and just do a monorail loop and, have little like small bites places. And if that was the case, I wouldn't be able to do that.
I would even say I wish there was a way to define it, because I can totally understand people parking and going to the monorail resorts. It's just the overload of the resort loop. When they start getting too many people on the express loop, they start shuffling them over to the resort loop, and anybody that's staying on or visiting the resort loop hotels just ends up paying the price for that. So like I said, Grand Floridian, especially just because you're so locked into that monorail for Epcot, it just kind of sent us through the roof a little bit.
Well, and
I love
say
you.
if you're staying at a monorail resort and you leave the Magic Kingdom at fireworks time, it's horrendous. Trying to just even if you decide that you're going to take the boat or you're going to walk, you still have to wade through a sea of people to try to just get to the resort path or to get to the resort launches. So I understand, but at that point, this is Disney World. It is the most popular tourist attraction in the United States of America, and you're not going to be able to avoid crowds at high traffic time. And it's just part of what comes with it. It's the expectation. That's why, as DVC members, we have our strategies to avoid those times. Like, we don't find ourselves getting caught up in that frequently because we know to avoid it.
Yeah, I think I'm an elitist jerk sometimes, and I believe in pay to play. And when I've paid extra to stay certain places and end up just getting killed otherwise, you're just like, why did we do this? It gets brutal. All right, back. We're going to stay on the monorail loop here around Seven Seas. Marianne says Ohana stinks. She used slightly different terminology. Yes, she said it. Ohana stinks.
Well, yeah, I strongly disagree.
Same. Yeah, I'm not going to ever agree with that statement. Pre-COVID, post-COVID, I don't really care. To me, that is fake news.
I'm on board with this one. I'm not going to lie. Knowing what Ohana was 10, 15 years ago compared to what Ohana is now, we have found that it is now far more rushed than it used to be. The food quality is lower. You don't have the entertainment that you used to have. It's hugely overbooked. If you had said this 10 years ago, I think I might have had a fight with you. But in retrospect, knowing what Ohana is now, I get what she's saying. Like, we had to all but beg to get seconds on our last trip there. Like, they just wanted to get us out of that table, not come around with food, and get us moving to open it up for somebody else.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe we just been very lucky every time we've gone. Every single time we've gone, we've had great service. I have never felt rushed. The food was good. And I mean, I didn't go before COVID, but I know Scott has. And I love it every time.
I didn't see a drop in quality of the food at all. I mean, if anything, I've actually seen it improve. They change the chicken.
Yeah, to that chicken thigh that showed up with like the chimichurri sauce
It's
I didn't think
changed
it was
again.
nearly as good. Is it changed again?
It's like a sweet and sour chicken now, and it's fantastic. The steak, to me, we've always had good quality steak. The noodles are the noodles. The pot stickers are still the pot stickers.
Well, the noodles are the noodles now after they went from noodles to rice to noodles to rice to noodles.
Yeah, and what else is there? The shrimp is still really good. There's the wings. We love the wings. And, of course, that bread pudding at the end. I've never felt rushed. I've never felt like they're trying to kick me out. And I think they're always trying to push more food onto me, if anything. The only thing I don't like is the salad. But who's going to eat salad when you get all that other food?
When you get all the other good stuff. I mean, if you guys are saying it's gotten better, I might give it another shot. But we had probably 2 meals in a row there a few years ago that I left extremely unhappy with the quality and the service. So I don't know. Maybe we'll give it another shot.
I was there a couple of years and a couple of years ago, and I wouldn't say it sucked, but I'm not a huge fan of buffets as it is. I just think that they're way too expensive for like, if I'm going to pay $67 for something and that's how much Ohana's dinner is, I would rather go to Citricos and get a really good entree or to Narcoossee's. I don't need to spend $67 for all you can eat chicken wings and noodles. Like, that's just not how I choose to spend my money. Like, do I think it sucks? No. Do I think it's worth $67 for basically like glorified Chinese food? No.
Well, our argument lately, and I got in trouble on the last trip, Mackenzie told me that I just lie and she can never trust me again, is I listed her as a child because my kids are both now over the age of 10, and I'm paying full price on these all you care to enjoy meals, and they eat 67 cents worth of mac and cheese. I'm not going in there for this kind of money to have you guys have 2 rolls, a little bit of mac and
Yeah.
cheese, and call it a night because maybe Eeyore stopped by for a photo. Like, it's just, with 2 kids over the age of 10 that aren't adults, it's robbery.
That's a Disney money grab. That's always been that way. You go to any other restaurant and a kid is 12 and under or something like that. But Disney, for some
Yeah.
reason, you stop being a kid at 9 years old.
I mean, we don't go often, I don't think, to Ohana. I mean, we've gone, a few times, but not like every month or anything. But what we do often is go to Tambu Lounge, and you can get the wings and the noodles there and the pot stickers.
Which are arguably 3 of the best parts of the meal.
A much cheaper price.
Right. And you can order them a la carte instead of having to pay $67 for,
Yeah.
and look, it's all you care to enjoy, but there's only so much you can enjoy. So I'd rather spend $10 for one bowl of noodles and be on my merry way.
All right, couple more. Sean chimes in. Splash Mountain retheme, terrible. Ride overlay is boring. Music is blah, and the story is forgettable.
Well,
I mean, I don't even know that that's an unpopular.
That's what I said. I said that's a popular opinion, Sean.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of agrees that they could have made that amazing, and they just did not deliver.
Yeah. I don't think it's terrible, but I much rather have Splash Mountain.
Yeah, it's never going to be Splash Mountain. And they could have done a lot more with that. And if you've seen the movie, that whole entire ride experience doesn't make any sense to me at all. But I mean, it's fine. It's beautiful. Some of the parts that they did are very nice, but it's just, they could have done so much more with that.
All right, we'll end with this one and save the rest for the next episode. Scott, this one's for you. Beverly says Chef Mickey's is just Golden Corral with characters.
Oh, I had a counter to that. I hope we can get into that in the next episode, but there was a counter to that. That's, to me, that's my opinion. That's completely false. We have been to Chef Mickey's multiple times since they reopened. I know it's always had a bad reputation. I know it's buffet. I know it's probably not the highest quality food you can get. I'm talking about variety. You cannot beat that buffet with variety. I'm sorry, but it is anything and everything you could possibly imagine on a buffet. And if we're going to talk quality, I'm going to give it probably a 7 out of 10 across the board for quality for buffet food.
I'm still willing to go with you for breakfast, but I can tell you exactly what I said the last time we were there with the kids. This is the most money I have ever spent in my life to walk out sick to my stomach.
I'm not taking you to breakfast. I'm taking you to dinner, because I would say breakfast is actually not as good. Dinner is where you're going to find the variety. I'm telling you, anything you could possibly get at any other buffet on Disney property, with the exception of the special things at Boma, they have it. It's like a cruise line buffet on steroids.
Under our table looked like a pig's trough, hadn't been cleaned. Half the stuff was out at the buffet and the other stuff was just gross. Maybe we caught it at a bad night, but it still to this day ranks as the worst meal I've ever had on Disney property.
Wow. Yeah, we've been a few times and I actually I liked it. I'd definitely go back again.
This is another one for me. I have not dined there for dinner ever, or if I did it, I was like 15 years old. I've been for breakfast, which I can kind of tolerate because I feel like at breakfast time, I'm like, all in for the characters, whatever. But again, for a price tag of $69, like that's just not an enjoyable experience for me. That feels like I'm going into a food court and there's noise everywhere and I have to get up and serve myself, and give me $69 and I'll go up to California Grill, have a glass of wine, have the Sonoma goat cheese ravioli, have the short rib wonton, and I probably will get out of there for less than $69 for those 2 items and a glass of wine. So I'll meet you. I'll meet you afterwards.
Atmosphere-wise, it's, to me, atmosphere-wise, listen, it's, the characters can be annoying. After about the 8th trip around, they start looking at you like, are you still sitting here eating? And yeah, it's loud. There's a lot of kids. I totally get that part of it. Strictly speaking of food, variety, and quality, though, it's good. I liked it.
Yeah, I don't have to go
I mean,
all the time.
the Publix fried chicken is good too, but I'm not going there on my Disney vacation.
Listen,
just
Pub subs are
except on-
overrated. That's my unpopular opinion.
I would
Yeah.
agree with
Except
that,
for-
actually.
I agree.
except for Clubhouse Weekend when we get the popcorn chicken, the trunk nuggets from Derek DeBoer. That's the only time that I'm eating Publix fried chicken on a Disney vacation.
All right. Well, I think we're probably halfway through the list, give or take. So we can call it. We're already at minute 45 here. I knew we'd have a lot to talk to here. We will pick it back up next episode. But until then, if everyone could head on over to Apple Podcasts, give us a like, a 5-star review, we'd appreciate it. Amy?
And as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, if you don't already belong to our Facebook group, you can find us there at DVC Clubhouse. You can also find us at Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And until next time, we'll DVC you real soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.
And so our journey comes to an end.
Oh, no, please, can't we go back to page 1 and do it all over again?
We started this thing together, and that's how we'll finish it.
Because that, my friends, is where the magic lives.